Everybody, welcome back to Rap, Hip Hop, and Freedom, Volume 2. I am your host, Philip Fletcher, and I am glad that you joined me this Friday as we continue to delve into uh, the musical genre of rap and hip hop that's been expressed through the decades here in the United States of America. And what does classical liberalism, libertarian thought have to say to back up what these men and women have said over the decades using a variety of metaphors, illustrations, wordplay to communicate what is going on in the areas in which they live. And so I'm glad that you have taken a few minutes to join me today. If you've missed any of Volume 1, I would encourage you to go to my YouTube channel, Humanity Matters. You can find in the playlist Rap, Hip Hop, and Freedom Volume 1, and you can see different artists such as Public Enemy, J. Cole, NWA, Ice Cube, and so check those out. And in Volume 2, we're going to delve into Queen Latifah, Kendrick Lamar. We're going to look at what rappers had to say about the violence that was going on in the Black community. So we're going to be looking at the East Coast as well as the West Coast. And so glad for you to be here. And so when we are talking about classical liberalism, libertarianism, they come from different times, all right? And they have different catalysts, all right? The former, classical liberalism, was removing the oppression of theocracies and monarchies and the very notion of it being permissible for a small group to rule over the masses. While the latter, libertarianism, is addressing the overarchings of imperialism, bureaucracy, progressivism, providing an economic system which we would see as the free market, non-aggression principles, so on and so forth. So this midweek show is designed to look at the various expressions of rap and hip hop and discover the rhythms and beats of freedom. It's a big thing, freedom, which exists in this worldwide expression of music and culture, specifically rap and hip hop. So this volume is dedicated to looking at Americans who identify with the physical characteristic of Black skin, all right? And more importantly, the messages of individualism and empowerment communicated by lyricists such as Kendrick Lamar, Boogie Down, Lil Baby, and today's artist, Queen Latifah. All hail the Queen. All hail the Queen. So when we talk about individualism from a classical liberal perspective and libertarian perspective, there's three views you can consider. So there's this guy named Locke, another guy named Mill, and another guy named Dewey. All right. These are like 1800s. Okay. So Locke, he saw individualism grounded in a theological framework. All right. Rights have a transcendent origin in what would be called the state of nature. So basically, our rights, who we are, come from God. All right. God made us in his image and likeness. And as such, as individuals, right, our rights don't come from another man. They don't come from the state, the government. Our rights don't come from the United States Constitution or the Declaration of Independence. Our rights come from God, right? Now, there's another view, Mill, all right? He viewed individualism not from a religious standpoint like John Locke did, but more so from a psychological standpoint, okay? So pain, pleasure, all right? Individuals determine what was best for him or her, with the exception of harming another person. So you can hear some influence into libertarianism. Hey, I'm going to exercise my rights. I'm going to live how I want to live, but it's not going to be at the expense of another person's life. And I would also have to add property. And then there was this other guy, Dewey. All right. So He pushed a form of individualism which found cooperation with the society to achieve bigger aims. So you can see like he was kind of like a middle ground kind of guy, right? The individual was the priority, and the individual, he or she was using their skills, their talents in order to, in context of relationships, associations, press for improved society. So, in his view of individualism, we find seeds of what was called a, quote, continuous human community, close quote. And that's from a researcher named Bishop, 2007. So, now this other guy, Mises, libertarian type, who posited a utilitarian individualism, okay? And he pressed for individuals to freely cooperate and generate progress. All right, Mises observed, and I quote, the philosophy that is the characteristic mark of the West and whose consistent elaboration has in the last centuries transformed all social institutions has been called individualism. It maintains that ideas, the good ones as well as the bad, originate in the mind of an individual man, close quote. And let's say it this way, individualism, quote, brushed away slavery, serfdom, torture, inquisitions, and other remnants of the Dark Ages, close quote. So the question we need to ask ourselves today in the volume, this full volume, volume 2, as we move forward is, who defines me? Is it myself or is it the society? Do I define who I am as an individual, or does the state, does the society, is there some group of people who define who I am as I live on this earth? So let's turn to Queen Latifah. So Queen Latifah was born Dana Elaine Owens. She joined Tommy Boy Records and dropped her first album, All Hail the Queen, back in 1989. So on this album was a dynamic, empowering single, Ladies First. All right. So Ladies First, it involved Queen Latifah, but also she had a rapper from Europe. Name was Moni Love. All right. So they were vibing, going back and forth, talking about women and the importance of women and their contributions as individuals in the society. And this was a groundbreaking track back in 1989 because pretty much rap, hip hop was a male dominated genre. You had those out there. You had Salt and Pepper. You had MC Light, Queen Latifah, and others. But up to that point, really, it was a male dominated society, genre. But then you had the rise of some great female lyricists, one specifically Queen Latifah. So in the track Ladies First, the first couple of verses, Queen Latifah opens up and I quote, a woman can bear you, break you, take you. Now it's time to rhyme. Can you relate to a sister dope enough to make you holler and scream? Close quote. And we hear birth language there, right? A woman, biologically, men can't give birth, women give birth, right? So Queen Latifah is pointing out it's the woman that bears, right? That brings men and women into this world through the birth process, right? But those same women can break us. Those same women can take us. That's an empowering type message that Queen Latifah is seeking to offer not only women, but also to remind men as well during that time. So in the next part of the song, Moni Love drops in and she says, and I quote, we are the ones that give birth to the new generation of prophets because it's ladies first, close quote. So here we have that birth language again, echoed by Moni Love. But here's the other thing. If you go back to volume 1, I talk about how rap and hip hop, it has a prophetic posture, not meaning telling the future, but prophetic in the sense of it is looking at what is going on in society. It's communicating what's going on. It's offering a critique of what's going on. And it uses metaphors, word plays, all types of illustrations. And so Moni Love is pointing out that from the woman, right, not only are they giving birth, they're giving birth to new generations of prophets, right? And so it's ladies first. The song is seeking to remind women and remind men, remind the black community, if you will, the proper place in esteem that comes with being a woman. All right. And so then Queen Latifah, closing out the track, she breaks out into this, and I quote, "I break into a lyrical freestyle, grab the mic, look into the crowd and see smiles, because they see a woman standing up on her own too. Sloppy slouching is something I won't do. Some think that we can't flow, stereotypes, they gotta go. I'ma mess around and flip the scene into reverse with what? With a little touch of ladies first." So Queen Latifah is bringing it home, right? She's stepping out on the stage, all right? She is demonstrating that she has the skill, she has the capacity, all right, to rap, to present a message. And she's doing it on her own 2 feet. Hear that individualism. She's standing on her own. And it's not going to be slouchy. It's not going to look cowardly. It's not going to look like she's defeated, but she's standing up. Her back is straight. Her shoulders are up. All right. She's saying, sloppy slouching is something I won't do. Some think we can't flow. Again, so she's responding to a critique about women. All right. In regards to rap. And so here she wants to press against group thinking. Quote, stereotypes, they've got to go. Stereotypes, people try to bunch a group of people into a particular way of thinking or behavior because they meet a particular characteristic. And Queen Latifah is saying, no, I'm standing out. We're breaking down these stereotypes. There are women out here who can rap. So what do others have to say? Well, Latifah was interviewed back in 2015 about this song in a website called Bustle. And Latifah said this, "For me at the time," this is a quote, "For me at the time, I felt that there was a lot that needed to be said. There were a lot of male rappers who had opinions about women and certain words that I did or didn't like. I chose to start at home and how women treat themselves and respect themselves and carry themselves, rather than say, you don't speak to me like this. I chose to kind of take the route of uplifting women by trying to make some records that have some positive thoughts in it. I was young, crazy, and wild too, but still I felt like there are ways to make records that appeal to the masses but still have a message that leaves something with you." Close quote. There it is. She's seeking to empower. She's seeking to communicate a message that is positive, all right, that shows that women have the opportunity to stand apart, defying stereotypes, to be their own, each one to be their own woman. Beauty of individualism, all right? So Ladies First stands as an anthem for individual women to assert personal dignity and positivity of self for the self. So what? So artists such as Queen Latifah represent what Mises described as one of the great outcomes of individualism. And I quote from Mises, "It was an epic of great artistic and literary achievements, the age of immortal musicians." Close quote. The variety of thought and expression, all right, represented in the early days of rap and hip hop, to include clothing expressions, revealed the celebration of individualism and creativity. These could only be accomplished in a society which prioritized the philosophy of individualism. We can find elements of individualism within this track that Locke, Mill, and Dewey would all agree. The state of nature, psychology, and individual acts influencing societal change. Can we really argue against the strength of Latifah and Moni Love's words concerning a woman's role in the birth of future generations and the ability to influence a group? I think not. Collectivism, though, would stifle the ability and voice of a Queen Latifah or a Moni Love to stand up and say, ladies first. Just as Mises stated, it is the, quote, distinctive principle of Western social philosophy, individualism, close quote, which erase the old ways of thinking about women giving rise to a queen. All hail the queen. So next week, we'll be inviting Lil Baby to the stage to address empowerment as it relates to the events of 2020 from his monumental track, The Bigger Picture.